Hey, good morning. Welcome back to another Junius Maltby project, Junius Maltby channel. News, headlines, review, and discussion. As usual, we're going to take a quick run through the headlines. And I wrote down some notes here. Had a lot of requests from you guys in the past couple of videos. So I'm going to get to those and maybe come up with a couple other discussions today after this video that are not as much news related, but more discussions such as just that you guys brought up, different topics. But we'll get right to it here. I thought this was kind of interesting. S&P cuts European banks on rules forcing losses on bondholders. As we all know, Europe's been going through some troubling waters. There's the whole Greek discussion. I don't think the euro has ever fully recovered or been healthy after the events that transpired in the last 5-6 years. But it looks like 6 European banks, including Credit Suisse Group, AG, and HSBC Holdings had their ratings cut by Standard & Poor's on the prospect that their governments are less likely to provide aid in a crisis. It's pretty interesting that that's a reason to cut their rating, because their government would not provide aid in a crisis. But yeah, it's just, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. If you're interested, go read that article. This is one of those things that doesn't really, hit close to home for me because I don't hold any bonds and for my own reasons. And Europe is just Europe. It's across the pond. Yeah, it's going to affect us globally, but if you're living over in Europe, you know what to do. Batten down the hatches, keep stacking. But commodity slump. Let's look at Canada. Let's look at Canada for a second, because this is close to home. This is just north of us, our friendly neighbors to the north, about. So, as many of you are aware, Canada's been going through some economic turbulence, and there have been changes in the value of their currency, in their commodity production. We'll just take a quick look here. Let's think about it. Oil. So the Canadian economy is tied. A lot of it is tied to oil. There's a lot of oil production. The tar sands of Alberta, and a lot of employment there. Again, a lot of oil production, wealth creation. Well, oil, as you know, has taken quite a big hit. So, and that simultaneously with the rising value of the dollar, because as we know, the Canadian dollar was pretty strong there for a while. The loonie was worth $1.20 US, or $1.15, not that long ago. So their currency value is going down a little bit, and that was a lot of them were coming over the border, and the northern states were seeing a lot of Canadian tourism, a lot of Canadian shopping during the last 5 years or so. But there's talk of a Canadian recession. I talked to a Canadian in the airport not that long ago, and we were talking about, he actually brought it up in the conversation about housing and real estate prices in Canada, specifically Vancouver. And it looks like there could be even a housing bubble that could potentially pop. We've heard people talk about that. As a matter of fact, I believe a year or so ago we did a video talking about Canadian housing and Canadian bubble, real estate bubble, on the channel here. Well, if you're in Canada, that's something to pay attention to. Are you headed for another recession? Well, there's some articles from all over talking about the troubling signs that there are. So, it's something to be cautious of. I think that's going to definitely affect economies in the United States as well, northern economies especially. Any of these areas where Canadians were shopping and spending a lot of money and boosting the economy, whether it was Washington, Montana, Minnesota, Michigan, any of those northern states, if you had a lot of Canadians coming over and shopping, those local economies might feel a pinch based on that, especially with the currency devaluation, the fall of the Canadian dollar. So, again, we're pretty dry, we're pretty boring today. This is not the really good meat and bloody news we like, right? So let's just trudge through it again. Here's an interesting chart that was attached to an article. I clued in on it because one of my favorite professors, as you all know, was quoted, so I included the quote in there as well. Let's just read it. According to Professor Anatoly Fiat, unbacked fiat paper money loses 90% of its purchasing power every 35 years. Let that sink in. That's pretty incredible. And attached to that quote is a chart there of billions of dollars, money supply, money creation. Interesting. Just we talk about this all the time, the ever-expanding supply of fiat and money and paper currency, and it's just incredible. It really is surprising that gold and silver and all precious metals have not reacted accordingly with this chart. And hey, like we talked about, if it's being suppressed, it's like a beach ball being held underwater, as Peter Schiff puts it. One of these days, they're not going to be able to hold that beach ball underwater, and it's going to come blasting out of it and punch through the surface and rise very fast, very quickly. I think that precious metals could see that occur one day in the future. Oh, here comes Kitty. All right. All right. Federal Reserve, New York. Gold withdrawal numbers don't match the Dutch-German repatriation claims. How many times have we mentioned this? That there's controversies regarding gold movements, there's discrepancies. It's pretty interesting that nobody can seem to get the facts straight, especially bankers and these heads of state. I would think that something as important as the precious metals your nation holds, your gold reserves, that the auditing and the tracking would be a little bit more accurate. It's amazing how they can misplace 20 or 30 tons at a time, or have a disagreement on where it is and how much got moved or purchased. But here's a couple of headlines we'll just look at regarding that very issue. Germany's Bundesbank resumes gold repatriation, transfers 120 tons of physical gold from Paris and New York Fed. You got to ask yourself why they're doing that. Here's another group of headlines I just threw in here. Secret gold repatriation, the bankster's newest bullion scheme, I think it was what it was saying. Good article there. Federal Reserve New York gold withdrawal numbers don't match up. Germany's Bundesbank resumes gold repatriation. We just mentioned that one. So there's a lot of articles about Germany repatriating gold. And earlier they said, no, you can keep it. I think we covered that in a video, that they basically halted repatriation, and now they're saying we want it again. So very inconsistent messages, very inconsistent facts. Murky, clouded, shrouded in secrecy, isn't it? It's just, it always seems to be the case with gold. It's just never above board. Nobody can be honest. They treat it, I don't know, it is what it is. So, Germany's repatriating, Russia's buying. Again, the age-old question here on the Junius Maltby Project, one of our mission statements, I guess you could say, is to get the answer from the Keynesians, our Keynesian friends, of if gold is so valueless, if it's truly the barbarous relic you call it, why does all of this happen? Why do countries scrabble over it? Why do people lie about it? Nation states and central banks. Why are countries such as Russia buying record amounts of gold? So, they should all just dump it in the ocean. It's not worth anything, right? So Russia's increasing its gold purchases by 123%. That's quite a lot. I think you and I both, and anyone who's got half a neuron in their brain left, can assume that this is because of the troubles between the West and the East, and the whole Ukrainian debacle, sanctions, treasuries. This is all these are all basically signs and symptoms of an underlying problem. And it's the currency wars, the trade wars, the economic war that we are witnessing, which is going to eventually lead to and has already manifested in certain hot pockets on the planet as shooting wars. And it's just unfortunate that nobody can seem to be honest, get along, and be good to each other in trading. But we'll close out with Mark Faber. He seems to hit the nail on the head every once in a while. Quite a smart guy. He's been calling gold for some time now. And Mark Faber is saying dump biotech, short central banks, and buy gold. I like that. I like the buy gold part. Mark Faber says the biotech sector as well as social media and chip stocks are due for a plunge. He also thinks investors will lose confidence in central banks. Yeah, Facebook, I don't know who bought that. I don't know what they produce or do. Dump it, trash it, get rid of it. Yeah, keep stacking. We'll get back to the drawing board here, work on some other projects for you guys. And as always, appreciate you being part of the Junius Maltby channel. Thanks for being here. And if there's any other interesting topics you'd like to cover besides the run-of-the-mill news in the morning, go ahead and let me know, either a direct message or comment. And as always, don't forget to like and share, subscribe, and join the channel. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for being here. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click on the link there for Junius Maltby, and then click on videos and pour through the library there. There are some good topics and other videos you might find interesting. If you're new here, welcome to the channel, welcome to the project. And go ahead and pour through those old videos dating back a couple of years. Some of them are very relevant still today. Some of the speeches and writings that we've discussed on here. So go for it. Let me know what you think, and have fun viewing the other videos. Thank you.